Doc Loves the Kids, a local Kitsap County nonprofit organization established in 2015, whose mission is to provide activities, programs, and community support for at-risk youth.
They put the U in community.
Doc Loves the Kids.
Welcome to Uncommon Courtesy,
where we give you the courtesy of conversation
that's uncommonly spoke of.
I'm D-Mac.
I'm Wesley.
And this is the show. Don't forget to like, listen, subscribe. Thanks to all our listeners for sticking with us. Don't forget our Friday Fix at 7 p.m. Pacific time and our live digital town hall at 1 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. Friday Fix is Friday. Senor Wesley, how you doing?
I'm good. About yourself, man?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. Just watching the America turn upside down. So let's start off here with what's going on in Texas. Texas Land Commissioner Don Buckingham is offering the incoming Trump administration 1,402 acres the state purchased along the Texas-Mexico border to be used as a mass deportation operation. In a letter to President-elect Donald Trump, Buckingham said she's offering the land to be used to construct the deportation facilities. The Texas General Land Office purchased a plot of land from a farmer in October to facilitate Texas' efforts to build a wall. My office is fully prepared to enter into an agreement with the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or the United States Border Patrol to allow the facility to be built for processing, detention, and coordinations of the largest deportation of violent criminals in the nation's history, Buckingham wrote in a letter dated Tuesday. Now, like I was telling my colleague off camera, they're going to put, and Donald Trump has said this too, he's like, we're going to set them there until we can find out how to process them and kick them out the country. They're not going to be sitting there doing nothing. They're going to put those people to work in manual labor.
So you think that they're going to become basically like
slaves?
Okay,
slaves.
I mean, it's a hell of a word for it right there. You know what I'm saying? I was thinking more like internment camp, for like not really internment camp, but like work camp kind of people. You know what I mean, I wouldn't call them necessarily. I don't know what's going to necessarily want to call them slaves, but they're working for free.
You ever seen Thor Ragnarok?
Yeah.
They were like, the lady was like, oh, the slaves are free. The slaves are free. And he's like, no, I don't like that word. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. She's like, the prisoners with jobs are loose. And he was like, that's more better. That's more better.
No, I see what you're saying. So you think that this is what their whole intention is to bring them down there and to get them to start working?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do. First of all, they're going to separate. They're going to lose a bunch of children like they did last time. We see how that's happening and coming up with his cabinet. No, they're going to have those people come down there. They're going to have them work farms and everywhere else. They're going to turn them into indentured servants, some of them. They're going to round up American citizens also that try to stop them. Like, it's going to be all out. Like, right now, they're just being cool about it. But yeah, if you're going to build a facility to house 20 million people, you don't have enough space to put 20 million people in. Oh, no,
absolutely. There's going to be many facilities. I mean, and they're going
to put them to work. They're going to make them work those farms. They're going to make them do agriculture stuff. And that's how the price of food's going to go down. Watch.
That's a hell of a theory there.
I don't think any of my theories has been wrong since when I talk about Donald Trump. I know exactly what they're doing because they do it in plain sight, and the Democrats are too weak to stop them. You want to know why? Because the Democrats are all cool with it. As long as they get to keep their power and that falseness of, hey, we're still going to give you hope, they're fine with it because they're not losing nothing. They're not losing their position. They may have lost their vote in the House, but they still get to go up there and get all that money from us and do nothing for us. They didn't save you at all.
I'm thinking like when you listen to even like what Rand Paul came out saying, he's saying that he's not even in support of the military being used against American citizens because, and to your point, he says the military is used to go and shoot the enemy, is going to take out the enemy. That's what they're being trained to do. They're not being trained to do things like get a warrant and then go in and figure out what's going on. He's saying that the military and being used in the streets of the United States has been illegal for over 100 years. You know what I mean? So I don't see how Trump is going to be able to use some type of an executive order. But I'm not saying he won't be able to.
And America's never had a king before either, but I guess that's going to be a first also.
Well, we almost had one to begin with. I think they tried to make George Washington.
George Washington was like, no, we just left a king. Yeah. We're not going to do it again. But now we have a king. We have a king. We have a dictator. It's going to happen. They're going to put the military in the street. The military is going to go door to door to door. People are going to be like, yeah, I think there's illegals over there. There's illegals over there. They can point just like a witch hunt, and they're going to come in your door, kick it open if you don't let them in, round up your family. If you resist them,
these internment camps.
If you resist them and say, no, you can't come in my house, you've just committed a crime.
Yep, you did.
Now you get to get locked up, you and your family. And make sure you don't have no little kids trying to get locked up like that either, because you'll probably never see your kids again because they're going to separate them, and they're going to disappear like they did the last time.
It's crazy, man, because this is like a actual thing that we have to think about. You know, you hear people saying that we're like, oh, you guys are fear mongering X, Y, and Z. I mean, I feel like I'm just telling the truth.
I guess I'm trying to warn you what's happening.
Everything that we've said is pretty much, not saying it's been perfectly prophetic, but it's been coming true. You look at the people who he's put around him to make these things a reality, not to get into that just yet, but I mean, he's made it pretty much so that whatever he said, he doesn't have an actual a person who has an education or a background in what they're in there for. I mean, some of them might have slight, but not really for what they're in there for.
No, they talk a good game. Just like they're like armchair coaches. You know what I'm saying? Easy, lazy boy armchair coaches. You know, if I was in charge of that, I could do a better job and this and this and that.
And also the bigger thing of that even is, it's like, we're the people, black people who, you know, because we were sure as hell put out front. And I think he's gotten more of the black vote than any Republican for quite a long time. You know what I mean? So where are the black people in your cabinet positions? You were appointed, I think, 18 cabinet positions. I mean, you got a few left, but if you have it, why weren't they some of the first ones being appointed to positions? You've shown people that these are the least among us, pretty much.
Why would they get a position?
You know, and that's because you gotta look at a guy like Byron Donalds. He went out front. He said every time he needed to put a black man up front, Byron Donalds, he threw him out there.
Yeah, and now they can't do it no more. Byron Donalds don't know how to dribble, throw football, or nothing. He just be talking a good game. And what's his name? The one black dude put him in his place. He was like, "Look, all your constituents are white, right? Where you govern at, or where you're at." And he's like, "Yep, every last one of them." And they're like, "But he's coming over here to black folks, telling y'all what to do." Byron Donald was just a shell. Ben Carson might get a position because they're talking about Ben Carson might come back for him.
But all the rest HUD of them, secretary?
What's homeboy from North Carolina? Come on, bro. Using a burner account on a porn site? Come on, man.
Robinson.
Yeah. What's her? Candace Owens.
They had Herschel Walker go up on there for him. You know,
Herschel Walker's supposed to be in Georgia. You hear him talk? Hey, yeah, man. I'm just saying like this. You know, when the hot dogs come out and they all toasty and stuff, I like mine crispy when I put it on my car radiator.
But yeah,
that's how Herschel Walker talks.
No, I definitely agree.
Herschel Walker shouldn't even be in front of a drive-through machine trying to give somebody an order.
We're at a point right now, man, where you got people who are trying to give thousands of acres of land to try and house immigrants, people who've come to another place looking for a better life, talking about, you know, just because these guys are illegal, XYZ, which I'm sure if we had a better process, it would have been a lot easier to get these people processed through the system and to become citizens. But then you got a guy who you put in your cabinet for I think it's Department of, government, something, basically an oversight position, who was illegal when he came here. And so are we retroactively trying to get people, who even came here legally ever? Or are we just trying to, attack people who are from countries that you don't like? Because if you look at the countries who they pointed out, they're pointing out like Venezuela. I think it was Haiti. It's mostly all countries. It's all Latin American or people of color. Period. Plain and simple.
Of course. I think even they're not China, kicking out the European ones.
No, absolutely not.
That's not going to happen.
No, absolutely not.
Not at all.
It's crazy to me that they really feel like this is going to help America. Like this helps America in any way, shape, or form.
You know what? At this point in time, I need all this to happen. Every last piece of it. I need people to understand what they voted for, what they wanted, and I want everyone to get exactly what they wanted. You voted Donald Trump in? Cool. Hey, he won. Fair election. Fine. Let him deport everybody. Let them cut out these government programs. I want them to do everything that you voted them to do. That's what I want to see. Because I want you to start, when you start crying because you can't afford nothing, I'm just going to be like, hey, this is what you voted for. I'm going to be fine. I've been in the gutter. I know how to survive. I'm not on food stamps. I'm not on housing and state assistance. I have to work double hard to get my job.
If you're cutting $2 trillion out of the budget, where is that going to come from? The budget's only about $6 trillion, over $6 trillion. If you're cutting a third of the budget, where the hell are you going to get that money from? I'm just wondering, you know what I mean? Because I know it's not coming from, any of the major programs that we have. It's probably going to come from cutting NASA. You know who that's going to help?
Nobody.
Elon Musk.
Yep.
Because then he'll end up being our only source of being able to any kind of space exploration or anything like that. There's a bunch of other programs that they're talking about cutting. It's just crazy, man.
No, I want to watch the look. People don't understand the end of Donald Trump's presidency. Last time the country was in the ground. It was in the gutter. You can say COVID, whatever. He ran us into the ground. And I always joked. I was like, man, don't make me tell the Democrats, don't make me vote for Trump again. I'll let him finish this country off. And he's going to. And a lot of people, you're not understanding how bad it's about to be, but hopefully it's not. Like, did you want to do RFK? Because RFK is part of it. He's going to be the head of FDA. And I'm kind of cool with what he's doing.
You go ahead.
Yeah. So I got one. RFK Jr. may start a food and drug culture war. Investors are running for cover. President-elect Donald Trump's nomination, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., to lead the Department of Health and Human Services is one of several unorthodox appointments rolled out in recent weeks, and investors are scrambling to understand the move's potential impact on the market. The HHS Security oversees the largest department budget in the U.S. government, including more than $1.7 trillion spent on healthcare products and services through Medicare, Medicaid, and children's health insurance programs. Kennedy, if confirmed by the Senate, would also reign over vital agencies like the Food and Drug Administration, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, where his unorthodox views on vaccines and other paramedicals could shake up the healthcare sector. Kennedy would pursue a Make America Healthy Again agenda that aims to introduce a new limitation on food products, as well as bans on chemicals, additives, and among other changes that will significantly affect food and beverages companies. You know what? He said, you need to use real cane sugar and Coca-Cola instead of high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, I mean, that's a good idea. Don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff, he may be off the wall, you know what I'm saying? And for me, I'm just like, you know what? Let him do it. The FDA has got us fucked up. All right. If you understand, think about it. We eat the food that we eat right now is banned in other countries. We're only allowed to eat it here in America. It's plastic. We're eating processed food. McDonald's serves you junk. Burger King serves you junk. Fast food restaurants serve you junk.
Did you see him on the plane
eating at McDonald's? But did they have the burger in his hand?
Yes. Go look at the picture, man. He had the burger in his hand.
That's a photo op.
Hey, he had the burger in his hand. He came back and said, those are something oil seed, something he said, like, it's not McDonald's, it's the oil seed. What the hell is you talking about, brother? Who put the oil seeds or whatever it is in the food? Yeah, McDonald's. Like,
just pull up to McDonald's and be like, yo, put the oil seeds on there.
You know, what it is, he does eat. Man, guy, you're being run by Trump.
Donald Trump's like, touch everything but McDonald's.
Did you see him?
I remember seeing the picture. Hold on.
I'm telling you right now, man, it doesn't even matter, man. At the end of the day, this dude, everything he's for is not going to be done. You're not being put there to actually give ideas. You're being put there because they told you they were going to do it. That's it. I don't really care about the position. I'm going to do this anyways. This is my plan. Implement it. Nothing you can do about it. Just because you run the department doesn't mean you're not going to. You feel me? I'll fire you if I have to. If you don't do what I asked you to do, I'm going to fire you. That's what Trump is pretty much saying. This guy right here, I mean, RFK, man, I feel like this right here. I feel like he was in the race to swing the race to whoever gave him something. That's all it was to it.
Sure had the burger in his hand.
I told you.
Damn.
You know what I mean? Like, listen, at the end of the day, man, he's not anything different than what anyone else. I know it's easy for us to say this because it's Trump, but look at his picks, man. Look at all of his picks, who he's picked. This dude's pretty much picked Daffy Duck.
Loyalists. He's picked loyalists. People that won't question what he
Bert
says.
And Ernie.
They'll do what he wants.
You know what I'm saying? This dude picked anyone who no one even knows people. How are these people going to head these major departments and they have barely any backgrounds in this stuff? You got people, man, basically, man, you're setting it up so that you can just run roughshod over whoever you have there. Like, okay, I don't even need you for ideas. I don't need you to help. I just need you to sit here, pretty much.
No, he's running. They said that was part of his plan. He's going to hire loyalists. He don't care if he's like, you might have a good idea about what you could do there. Cool. But when it comes down to him, there's nobody now to stop him from doing whatever he wants to do. And that's how it should be.
I mean,
if you're going to be a king, you know what I'm saying? Be a king to the fullest. Yeah. Why have somebody say, maybe you shouldn't be doing this? No, get your military right, get your FDA right, get everything right the way you want it. And when you go down to tell somebody, hey, do this for me. You don't like it?
This dude has promoted vaccine, like misinformation about vaccine. Don't get me wrong. This isn't me saying that vaccines are perfect, because they're pumping a bunch of stuff into vaccines that are really, causing autism, causing a bunch of other things. We do need to look into some of the things that are going on, but is he the right person for it?
Who, RFK?
Is he going to be a person?
They had a time when RFK, he was an anti-vaccine activism led to measles outbreak in Samoa that resulted in the death of 83 people, and mostly were children.
He was a part of that?
Yeah, it was him. He led the anti-vaccine thing, activism. So it's going to be some wild times, folks. We're going back to the 1820s.
It's just, hey, man. It's just, to me, man, I just can't even believe that we're actually listening to some of these people. Like, look who he just appointed. Trump heavily working the phones to drum up support for Matt Gaetz' nomination. Jesus. President-elect Donald Trump has been making calls to bolster his pick to lead the Justice Department, Matt Gaetz, who already faces skepticism from some Republican senators, according to sources familiar with his push. Trump has been heavily working the phones to Republican senators for support on behalf of Matt Gaetz. Separately, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted on X that he was helping Trump interview candidates, including some to run the FBI. The post was deleted later. Current FBI Director Christopher Wray's term doesn't expire until 2027, 10 years after Trump appointed him, but he is preparing for the possibility that Trump may seek to replace him. Vance was in the Capitol on Tuesday voting against judicial nominees from President Joe Biden who are continuing to be confirmed. He will be back Wednesday to talk fellow senators in support of Trump's intended nominees, including Matt Gaetz and Pete Hegseth, whom he intends to nominate to the defense secretary. Trump announced Gaetz as his pick nearly a week ago. Gaetz was subject of a federal sex crimes probe and was not charged with any crime. The probe stalled over concerns about the credibility of two key witnesses or lack of direct evidence implicating Gaetz, who was denied all wrongdoing. Later, for those witnesses, came forward to detail their testimony to the House Ethics Committee. So, I mean,
the reason they didn't do it. The reason they didn't go after Matt Gaetz today is because DEI hire Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, well, if we're going to do Matt Gaetz, let's do everybody in the GOP. Let's do everybody that's done payoffs and stuff. And then they shut it down.
But you know that they say that Gaetz, I believe he stepped down.
Yeah, he stepped down
from the House.
Yeah, so he could run the Department of Justice.
No. I think he stepped down before that. I think he stepped down because of these allegations. He stepped down from there.
Well, the whole thing is if you step down from it, they're not supposed to be able to investigate you anymore. He won't be in trouble for it no more. So he stepped down, but he stepped down because it was that, and then also he got the position as the Department of Justice.
But before that, though, I mean, you assumed he was going to. I think he stepped down before the election. I want to say he did, but I'm not 110% sure. Yeah. But I think he stepped down before the election. So if you step down before the election, then you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't know what was going to happen. You were stepping down because you didn't want to be, I guess it was like 2 underage girls that he allegedly had sex with or something like that.
Well, he got elected, and it was like 2 months later, he flew out the 17-year-olds, had sex with them, and then flew them out. So he just became, I think he was a senator, right? Yeah,
he was a House member. He was part of the House Representatives.
Okay, and somebody was like, yo, Matt Gaetz didn't have sex with a minor. Matt Gaetz statutory raped a minor.
Flew her out and everything. Sex trafficker. If you flew a motherfucker out, that's sex trafficking.
That's what Diddy's in jail for right now.
Sex trafficking.
Think about it. Diddy's in jail because of allegations, because people are telling stories. Matt Gaetz is about to be
he's paying him
the
too.
Head of the Department of Justice. So when you go up there and you be like, hey, this guy sexually assaulted me, Matt Gaetz is like, were you drinking? Did you want it? Did you say no correctly in English, Spanish, and German?
You got to look at it like this. Even Kevin McCarthy, who was a former House head of the House of Representatives, he was I think he was the Speaker of the House at one point in time, came out and he was like, man, this dude tried to basically tell me, hey, he allows certain things to go through if I just laid off of his off the ethics committee and tell him not to investigate him. He said, I can't do that. That's not how this works. And so him and Matt Gaetz kind of got into it. And this is why Kevin McCarthy was overthrown. He would allow him to stay as head of the House of Representatives, but you know what I mean? Because he wouldn't bend the knee to these guys for doing what they're not supposed to be doing. This is what happens. Now, this same dude's about to head the Justice Department, the people who actually are supposed to look for criminals and crime.
They got the picture. You know, the information stuff got leaked. They got the Venmo transactions between him and the woman, the minor.
Him and the minor.
Look at this. Him and the co-defendant. I'm gonna show this to you folks. The co-defendant already pleaded guilty to trafficking minors, and then they were coming after Matt Gaetz, and this is the leaked information. They have him dead to rights.
You know who this sounds like, doesn't it?
Who?
Jeffrey Epstein. This is the same thing there. This is the same thing had Epstein do. I'm not saying he sounds like the guy in the middle who already pled guilty. He's the one man, this is crazy, man. And they're bringing this guy in here to lead the Justice Department. It tells you a lot right there. He don't care. Trump doesn't. Trump's convicted of stuff. You guys don't care if he was or not.
Matt Gaetz is gonna be stocking the junior highs next. He's like, don't worry.
You guys are proud of that. I've watched so many people like, man, they're so ecstatic that this guy is president again, and it has nothing to do with true politics. It has nothing to do with real policy. The real policy has something to do with is the policy of racial, divide in this country.
And if Matt Gaetz was innocent, they would release the forms to show that he's innocent from doing what they're accusing him of doing.
They know he did it. His own people know he. That's why she starts threatening the rest of the Republicans. I'll put all the paperwork out about you guys. You know
and how can she sit up there and actually, that's what's crazy about it. It's like he slept with the minor.
She's okay with that.
She's okay with it. She's like, oh, well, if you're going to do him, do everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, no, we don't want to get in trouble for the same thing. And they're like, now we're going to put him in charge. He's going to be the top cop, basically, the top attorney
in the United States. He's going to dictate who gets convicted of what and who doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to dictate who the federal, because a lot of times federal government is like the civil rights wing of the United States of America.
Remember, it was extreme how I told you they're going to get rid of abortion and make rape legal. Yeah. And you looked at me and said that was extreme. Now look what they're doing. He's a rapist. That's what it is. I mean, even if she was 17 and she was still statutory rape of a minor. And he's about to be the top dude in the Department of Justice.
I mean, and you flew her out and you paid her.
And remember I said this months and months ago,
and everyone's
it sounded extreme, but now you see what's going on.
Did he this, did he that, but he flew her out, he paid her. She's a minor. That's like all the way across the board. You got every strike there is to have when it comes to sex trafficking, underage, this and the third, everything. It's right there in front of our face.
He's like, look, I'm not going to investigate myself.
And now you got Trump going to stump for this guy. Oh yeah, we really need to get him in there. Make sure you guys are voting for him. And it's just crazy to me. But let me go on to this next one right here. Gabbard's sympathetic views toward Russia cause alarm as Trump's pick to lead intelligence services. Tulsi Gabbard, President-elect Donald Trump's choice to lead the U.S. intelligence services in 2022, endorsed one of Russia's main justifications for invading Ukraine, the existence of dozens of U.S.-funded biolabs working on some of the world's nastiest pathogens. Moscow claimed Ukraine was using the labs to create deadly bioweapons similar to COVID-19 that could be used against Russia, and that Russian President Vladimir Putin had no choice but to invade neighboring Ukraine to protect his country. In fact, the labs are public and part of an international effort to control outbreaks and stop bioweapons. Gabbard, a military veteran and former Democratic congressional congresswoman from Hawaii, later said she wasn't accusing the United States or Ukraine of anything nefarious and just was voicing concerns about protecting the labs. But critics in the U.S., including lawmakers on both parties, the comments showed a disturbing willingness to parrot Russian propaganda, a tendency that has earned Gabbard praise on Russian state TV. I mean, so people have really come out against Gabbard and Tulsi Gabbard, and and he's trying to push her as the head of the intelligence department. To lead intelligence services. So she's going to get all information, top secret information about the United States government. How can you give that to somebody who's come out and met with, I think, Assad from Syria, during the time of war against Syria, who's parroted Russian talking points, who everyone's saying that she's like a Russian, like they were grooming her to become basically like a Russian shield, an inside agent for Russia.
And she's gonna destroy our foreign agencies. I mean, think about how unsafe she's about to make us. We live in America where the last time we were touched, it was 9/11. I mean, historically, it was 9/11, and we commemorate that. We talk about, everybody got lost in 9/11, and our kids are so old now, they look at it like Pearl Harbor. Now imagine this. This woman's going to destroy what we have around the world that keeps us safe, our intelligence. So we're going to get attacked here in America. And there's no one to blame but her because she's already an agent for Russia. She was with the one guy, the Tim guy. Remember, they had to shut down the one network because they were doing Russian propaganda to an American people. We just reported on it recently. I think we skipped that.
You're not talking about InfoWars. It's not.
It wasn't InfoWars. It was the other one. I can't remember what it was called, but they shut him down. Like a guy, Tim, but she was part of there. She was on there also, sending out Russian propaganda information. Hey, you know what? This is what America wants. If you want to give your country to Russia, that's what they voted for. Hey, let's have it.
Like they said, she had secret meetings with Syria's president, a close ally of Russia and Iran, attracting fresh scrutiny from Democrats and national security analysts who feared that Trump, as a director of national intelligence, she could give Russia a major win, undercutting in Ukraine. Like, this is really what this whole project is about. That's why it makes me so, it's just concerning to watch Trump become president again at a time that we're in right now. You know what I mean? Like, we're in such a time that Russia's on the move, China's on the move, and we're going to take the eye off the ball, which is one of them is majorly Russia. You got two major forces that we're going to be basically dealing with at one time. America is we're only one superpower by ourselves. our NATO is not, even all combined, they're not really a superpower, even all combined, even all the rest of the people we have in NATO combined.
You know what? Donald Trump has said he's going to make sure we don't have any wars. We're going to stay out of all the conflicts. And I'm going to hold him to that because there's nobody that he can sit there and blame anymore. You can't blame Obama. You can try to blame Joe Biden because he just let whatever happen just now with the Ukraine missiles. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you have the House, you have the Senate, you have the DOJ, you have everything under your power right now. So as long as he keeps us safe and poor,
staying out of war is not keeping us safe.
No, I'm just saying.
Hold on, we had to get into World War II in order to keep America safe. So that's not always a thing. We believe that we don't need to be involved in wars. We need to be involved in this. What do you say?
Wasn't it because the Japanese attacked us?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. We had So say if the Japanese would have never attacked, do you think that Germany was not going to attack the United States at some point in time? They call like the Third Reich, all the things they talked
Germany
about.
If they would have never went to Russia, they probably would have dominated most everything,
and they would have came here next. They was going to. I mean, so it had nothing to do with that. Japan attacked us because Germany pretty much didn't communicate with them or didn't really give them any kind of little homie to them, and that's why they ended up attacking us because they understood that we were a problem in the South in the South Pacific Sea, in the South China Sea. We were a problem in those areas over there for them, and we were hurting them by not selling them. I think we were not selling them like steel or something like that. We were doing something that wasn't helping them during the war. But the point of it is, though, it's like, man, when you got people like Tulsi Gabbard, who we already understood was willing to say and do whatever, went from one party to the next, maybe all based off of belief.
Yeah.
But in reality, you know what I mean? When you're really starting to look at things, met with a Syrian president, you know what I mean? It gets to the point to where, when do we stop looking at these people as we can even trust them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't really have I think
America's going to be a different place in 6 months. I guarantee that.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a much different place.
We're sitting here on borrowed time. I said that before. I've been saying that since we started the show. We're on borrowed time. So, I mean, that's just what it is. Just like here, I want to read this article really quick. Trump says Republicans must kill a bipartisan bill that protects press freedom. That's us. Donald Trump has sworn he will enact retribution on his political rivals and critics. And that includes members of the press. The president-elect is already demanding that Republicans in Congress kill bipartisan legislation that would protect American journalists from surveillance by the federal government and help shield confidential sources or whistleblowers who speak to journalists for retaliation by law enforcement. The Press Act, which was introduced by Representative Jamie Raskin and Kevin Cavill Kiley, passed the Republican-controlled House with bipartisan support in January and has been languishing in the Senate for almost a year now. On Wednesday, Trump wrote on Truth Social that Republicans must kill this bill, alongside a link to PBS News segment interviewing Jody Ginsburg, head of the Committee to Protect Journalism and advocate for the legislation. On Monday, the president-elect told Fox News that it's vital to support a free and fair open media, but his rhetoric on social media and the plans he laid out on the campaign trail paint a very different picture.
Yeah, man. I mean,
ain't nobody gonna be saying, I'm telling you, bro, like they're gonna look, America's gonna be so different in 6 months. Even the people that voted for him are gonna be like, what have we done? You've cut off your nose to spite your face.
I think
you can't say nothing bad about him. Even if it's like, oh, damn, the eggs are $20 now. Donald Trump ain't shit. He can have you arrested.
I mean, I think it's the FCC or one of those the Federal Communications or something like that. Basically, he's appointed the guy from the co-author of
Project 2025
to run that. You know what I mean? And there's got people like Ebro. You know, I don't know if you heard of Ebro before. Ebro he came in like, man, you think I might get fired? You know, this is the kind of people who they're bringing in to make sure that they can pretty much.
Wait, tell the people again. He hired who for that position?
The co-author of Project 2025.
The co-author of Project 2025, who he said he knew nothing about.
Absolutely.
This is what we call that in the black community. We call that bamboozled.
Bait and switch. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's like, I don't know anything about this, but I'm going to hire everybody from there who wrote it, the co-author, everyone else in here to help me run these
Project 2025. They're going to take children away from single mothers.
Why do you say that?
No, it's in there. I read it in there. It's because basically they're saying that a single mother can't really raise a child by themselves.
Did you hear that Elon Musk was saying that instead of us, putting fear about having babies, why don't we put fear of being childless? This is what he's saying.
Yeah.
He said instead of having fear of telling kids we should be fear for having kids, why don't we start making people afraid of being childless?
Nobody can afford the child care.
Are you trying to basically, he's trying to set us back? If you think about it, he wants young kids. What are you going to do? Take away sex education? What are you going to do? Start promoting kids having sex younger? Because you got to start looking at kind of what him and his father has been a part of. You know what I mean? Look at, kind of look at how many kids he has and what he got going on and underage and the kind of weird stuff they got going on. You know what I mean? What are you going to try and take out of schools to promote people have more children? You got to take away education, because education is showing you that that's what prevents people from having kids young. They want to wait until they get their stuff together before they start dropping out babies. That's why we have less babies now. Then you guys getting rid of these immigrants is what's going to hurt that, because the immigrants are what keeps us having a positive fertility rate.
Well, they can't get all the immigrants from Europe, and the brown ones keep coming in, and so it keeps turning everybody looking like McDonald's chicken nuggets. And
it's the same thing in Europe. Europe can't supply us with immigrants; they have none.
Yeah, no,
they don't have any bodies to give, man. Look, they're trying to give away dollar properties in Italy right now to people who want to leave because Donald Trump were like, they were already doing it before. Don't get me wrong. They were doing this before that, but now they're making it about that.
4-year cruise.
4-year cruise. I heard about that. But I'm just saying though, these people it's just gotten to a point to where we got to start looking at, what's going on here. You got the community. I mean, this right here where they're starting to now attack the freedom of speech, where people are saying Trump filed a $10 billion lawsuit.
Oh, bro, the First Amendment. Look, the Constitution, you can take that and throw that out the window. That's over. The freedom of speech is over.
He filed a $10 million lawsuit. I think it was against like ABC, NBC, basically the major television networks, stating that they allowed lies to be spread up against him, knowing that he's lied more than anybody else about everybody. He lies and says negative things about everybody. But
We've given up our Constitution and our freedom for authoritism. Well, I didn't. Everyone that voted for him, they don't understand. The whole thing is, it's like they've stoked you with so much hate and so much fear. You know what? We're going to watch it unfold. I'm not even going to tell you what's going to happen no more. I know what's going to happen.
Every week we're going to bring this right back up, because it's our job to keep telling you about it.
And when they do something good, I'm going to bring that up too.
Absolutely. He's supposed to. I think there's a few things that he can do that are actually good, but I don't look at 2 good things. You can't do 2 good things by me and do 10 bad ones. And then me be like, oh, well, a couple good things he did right.
I mean,
that's not me, bro.
I like some of the stuff he's going to do with the FDA. I mean, they're going to get rid of it, but it's like, make people eat real food again. Is that what he said, or why he's holding McDonald's on his plane? Come on, man. Let's be real here. You think he's going to get rid of McDonald's and places like that and what they're doing, their kind of profit margins? Make the quarter pounders fresh.
Do you understand that? Okay, let's just say this.
You got to wait 2 extra minutes in the line for them to finish the quarter pounder.
But that's going to have to be real meat. You think that's going to hurt their bottom line to have to do that? You know what I mean? You think they're going to pay him off and they're going to shut him up? He's going to get rid of any of that stuff?
Think about how many people are going to get sick.
Why do you think they use high fructose corn syrup? Why do you think they use high fructose corn syrup instead of sugar cane? Like they do in every other country. Every other country they use sugar cane. Every other country besides America. Why do you think they do that here?
Tariffs.
No, because it's cheaper to use it. That's why. It's because it's cheaper to use something that they can create on their own, which is cheap as fuck to create, than to go get sugar and do it the right way. That's why. So that's going to hurt my profit margin to have to do that. So now I go to Donald Trump. This one hurt my profit margin, which is going to hurt my kickback to you. Just like he did with look at what he's doing with the oil executives. He's about to start cutting the EPA, cutting all this federal regulations about water rights, all kind of stuff. You know why? Because it helps the oil companies. They already told me they're going to kick him back some money. Let's be real, man. Let's just be honest about it. Let me move on to this next one right here.
Yeah.
Trump picks Dr. Oz to run Medicare and Medicaid. Linda McMahon for education. Lutnick for commerce. President-elect Donald Trump on Tuesday tapped billionaire professional wrestling mogul Linda McMahon to be Secretary of Education Department, tasked with overseeing the agency Trump has promised to dismantle. He also selected Dr. Mehmet Oz, a former television talk show host and heart surgeon, to the head of the agency that oversees health insurance programs for millions of older, poor, and disabled Americans, and named Wall Street executive Howard Lutnick to lead the Commerce Department. McMahon led the Small Business Administration during Trump's initial term for 2017 and 2019, and twice ran unsuccessfully as a Republican for U.S. Senate in Connecticut. McMahon served on Connecticut's Board of Education for a year starting in 2009 and has spent years on the Board of Trustees for Sacred Heart University in Connecticut. She's seen as a relative unknown in education circles, though she has expressed support for charter schools and school choice. I
like the school choice because there's parents in jail right now, black parents mostly, are only that they wanted kids to go to a better school and they locked them up for that.
No, I know, absolutely.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Let's we gotta look at all these people individually, like they just talked. Like we just talked about, man. This woman has no not okay. That's crazy because I said this woman. That's one thing. Let's kick that back.
No, sir. We don't have to be politically correct anymore. No, that's over. We ain't got to be politically correct for nothing no more. Them days is over. We back to the 90s style of acting an ass. That woman has no place being in the Secretary of Education.
She has no education background whatsoever. Nothing in her history.
No more. I don't have to be. I know who's president. Donald Trump don't give a fuck what I say, so I don't give a fuck. I love it. Now, hopefully, they can air Married with Children on TV again. No, ma'am.
Hey, I'm just saying, like, this it's crazy because you look at all her history. It's like this person. I mean, if I'm in support of charter schools and things for rich kids, where do you think I'm gonna try to kick the money to now? Where do you think I'm gonna try to bring the money? Public schools are done, and which they should not be. Which they should be. What they should be is overhauled. I mean, our education process is crap. Everyone knows that. But they're not going to try and do. They're going to try to kick the money to choice, which goes to rich kids, which goes to people who are actually, you know what I mean, who already have better choices in schools than the poorer kids do. They don't care anything about that. Then you look at a person like Dr. Oz. This dude, man, he went from being a television, basically, I mean, he was a heart surgeon too. Don't get me wrong. That's not to downplay who he is and what he has going on. You know what I mean? But then he went into the television world and started becoming a little more weirder and stranger.
He used to be on Dr. Phil's show, and he was on Dr. Oz, then he got his own show. And then he's kind of went off the rails a little bit. But some of the COVID stuff, you know what? Let's see what he does. Let's give him all a chance. Because there's nothing that we can do or say or complain that's going to stop any of this from happening.
I feel like, man, you know, when you start putting this guy, he's head of the, you know, Medicare and Medicaid, which is millions of older and poor people. Basically, this is their way of getting medicine. These people are already talking about cutting these programs.
Remember, the Republicans wanted to kill the old people back during the COVID. They're like, you know, some old people need to go so we can take some burdens off the government. They said it.
I mean,
Google it, motherfuckers.
And like when you look at this other guy, Howard Lutnick, I have no idea about him. I don't know much about him. You know what I mean? I guess we'll have to see, but I'm not seeing where he's putting people who are strong in these positions at all. That's what concerns me the most. There's no strength in the position. There's no ideas. There's no one bringing anything new. You know what I mean? These people are pretty much people who've like been his supporters for quite a while. And he's just like, hey, let's just pick them and drop these guys in these positions.
Loyalists. That's all it is. He wants loyalists around him, as he should do. That's what, you know, and that's why it shows the weakness of the Democrats. They keep wanting to follow the rules and go through the proper channels. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want to do, how I want to do it, how I'm going to do it. All you're going to do is sit back, point, and complain because you're weak. Joe Biden is weak. Kamala Harris is weak. The Democrats in the House and all that are weak. All of them are weak. Because if you weren't weak, you would have locked all these people up. And he's about to let all these people out from January 6th. If you weren't weak, you would have locked up all the people trying to overthrow the government. You don't wait till an election year to try to make it political. You did what you did. The Democratic people failed you.
Let's finish off.
Okay, let's finish off with this last one. Ukraine fires UK-made Storm Shadow missiles into Russia for the first time. Ukraine launched French-made Storm Shadow missiles at targets inside Russia for the first time on Wednesday, according to a Russian military blog and Reuters. A day after Ukraine fired U.S.-made ATACMS missiles into Russia. Ukraine used the UK-supplied missiles to hit Russia's territory, was confirmed by an official on conditions of anonymity. British media also reported the use of the cruise missile on Wednesday, citing sources. Ukraine Defense Ministry, Rustem Umerov, refused to confirm or deny the use of the UK-made missiles during a Wednesday news conference, nor did a spokesperson from the UK Ministry of Defense when asked by CNN. That just intensified the war. A lot of people don't understand. If you guys haven't been watching, Vladimir Putin said if any country that lets Ukraine use long-range missiles to hit Russia, he's like, that's an act of war. We're at war with you.
And then he gives them authorizations. He gives himself authorization to be able to use nuclear weapons or any means at his disposal. So basically what this man's been doing is kind of threatening down, okay, I can attack whoever I want to, which are sovereign nations outside of my country. I could basically attack them. And if you help this country or if they use any of your weapons inside mine, now this gives me a right to use nuclear weapons. And I'm looking at him like, you sound like Hitler. At this point in time, I know we use Hitler a lot, but this is pretty much what he was doing when he would attack certain places. Like, oh, this will be the last place I attack. Just leave me alone, and I'll just leave it at this. You know what I mean? And then he kept telling people that in France, and all of them believed him. Then he was at France's front door and ran through them, I think, like 3 days or 2 weeks or something like that. You know what I mean? So we got to start looking at what I'm almost called him Hitler. Start looking at what Putin is actually doing here. In 2008, he attacked Georgia. You know what I mean? Which is a sovereign country in their southwestern region of, by Russia. Okay, attack those guys. I mean, it wasn't even militarily. What he did was he annexed the land. What he did was had a separatist group take some land inside of Georgia, and he sent his troops in to basically say, okay, now if you touch this property, you're touching Russia. Then in 2014, he said he annexes Crimea from Ukraine. We do nothing about it. It's 2008, George Bush does nothing. 2014, Barack Obama does nothing. So again, now he's pretty bold now. He's feeling emboldened by it. 2022, he attacks Ukraine.
After the Olympics, he waited. I think he took Crimea. He waited for the Olympics to be done in Russia. He's like, hey, great show, everyone. Good. Take that shit.
You know what I mean? Like, this is right. I mean, so to me, man, for us to sit back and say, why are we sitting here fighting with this person? You lost this property before. This was all former Russian, I won't call it property, but they was called it was a USSR. You know what I mean? So you guys were all united. This were all a bunch of different countries that were united together. This wasn't just Russian land. These were all different, races of people. These were all different, groups of people who decided to come together under one flag. Russia folded. They went their own separate ways. That's part of the game. Yeah. You know what I mean? Now he's trying to take it all back, and because his country is starting to is imploding from within. They're having a declining birth rate.
Like ours.
Even worse so.
From within.
Even worse so. You know what I mean? And so at this point in time, if we don't step in and try to stop him now, where he's basically trying to rebuild his superpower. They have African countries who have turned, which rightfully so, turned against their European, colonizers. And he's supplying them with weapons and military, you know what I mean, with military forces. I mean, but this is all people who he's trying to turn against America. He's gone down into Venezuela, trying to turn them against us as well. I mean, he's done Cuba. He's sending warships and submarines down into Cuba. I mean, we got to start looking at this as a serious thing. So for us to give authorization for Zelensky, who is Ukraine's president, to strike with it's like they're called ATACMS. They call that those it's called ATACMS missiles inside of Russia. We should have been gave them this authorization. If they're being attacked, why shouldn't they? This dude basically said, okay, I can attack you, but you better not attack me or I'm using nukes. It's crazy. So I'm supposed to just fight the forces you sent to attack me and leave your homeland all gravy. So he's like, you know what? For the next 2 months, you guys go ahead and you guys got all the authorization you want. Take as much land back as you can get. Attack inside Russia as far as you can inside of Russia.
Yo, he has to let him do it. Check it out. As soon as Trump gets in there, he'll be like, yeah, take Ukraine. Whatever. As soon as he gets in there, Gaza, he's like, take all that stuff.
You know that, I mean, at the same time, too, we closed down our embassy in Kiev because we already know he's about to, they're about to attack back. They already knocked into Kiev a few other times. We know they're coming back. So we just closed down. We told everybody to brace for this. What's about to happen? It's about to go down for the next 2 months. They've already sent 6 missiles into, I think it's, I can't remember the region in Russia. It's like probably so far away from, it's not that far away from, Moscow. They sent 6 ATACMS missiles in there. Russia said they shot them down. Who's to say it didn't? 5 of them got shot down. One of them got damaged in the air, whatever the case may be. But now they're sending them in there already. It was like a military installation in Russia that they tried to attack. So, I mean, I'm happy to see this happening. This needs to happen. I had a person come on my page say Biden's trying to start a world war before he leaves. Man, this already going down. You know what I mean? If we don't defend our allies, then we're no better. You know what I'm saying? Our word is trash.
Oh, it's about to be trash.
You know what I mean?
We're going to keep everybody updated on everything that we do and everything that's going on. Yo, this is Uncommon Courtesy. We're going to see you next time.